We live now?
Yeah, no one's here yet. Oh, one person's here.
And with that, I've met my quota. We are now out of candy. We're completely sold out of candy. No refunds. You guys are stuck now.
What? No refunds?
Yep. No refunds for the free candy I gave you. You can't give it back. I don't want it.
Unless it's lemonade. That's the part that's weird. Is I like lemonade.
Meow.
Now?
I don't know how to turn the thing around. It's fine. No one wants
Raise
to.
phone next to you.
Hey, Seal. I'm talking to chat before you start
Stop
yakking.
talking to chat.
I like them. Hey.
I don't like them. I don't like any of them. Bunch of hoodlums.
Good morning, everyone. Menace. Tim, be menacing.
So menacing.
So menacing.
All right, I think we can probably start. Probably have some people trickle in as we go. So what we're going to be talking about is live streaming. You guys are probably here because you have either some experience with it or you're interested in getting started. And so we're going to talk a little bit about pretty high-level stuff, from equipment that you'll need and what you need to get started, right down to building a community, kind of dedication and things like that. Different tips and tools that you can use to help you craft your own stream. And Chris, just leave one open, okay? Chris, leave one open, okay? Because they lock right now. Yeah. But we're gonna go through down to all the way down to like partnership and stuff like that. So most of what I'm gonna be going through today pertains to a live streaming platform called Mixer. I am a Mixer partner, and just so you guys know, there's a business card in all of your little bags of candy. My name is Tim. I stream under the channel Insert Coin Theater on Mixer. I've been streaming for about 3 years. I used to stream on Twitch. I streamed on Twitch for about 2 years. Yes.
Okay, so that actually led into one of my questions.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on how Mixer is going, and will it overtake Twitch?
So we can definitely talk about that at the end. Let me get through everything, and then that's actually a really great question, like how Mixer fits into the Twitch, YouTube gaming, Smashcast sphere, and I think it's a really good discussion to have. So I definitely want to get there, but we'll go through like the basics of streaming first, and all the equipment that you're going to need, all the things, all the stuff that you're going to need, and then at the end we'll talk about that, because I think that'll really like sum up, because I have a lot of opinions on that, so I could go on for that for a little while.
So make your day today.
Oh yeah. So but yeah, I'm a Mixer partnered streamer. Insert Coin Theater just broke 6,000 follows as of Thursday. Right now we are, or as of when? Tuesday. Anyways, so right now we are live streaming to my community. So yeah, so they're all watching right now. My wife is doing the camera work. If you guys want to say hi to them later, you are more than welcome to come by and say hi. But that said, so we're going to go through some of the stuff. And as I said, I'm a Mixer partnered streamer. I've been doing this for about 3 years, so I got a little bit of experience on how to do it. And I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to tech and things like that. But we're going to try to keep it really high level. I'm not going to go very much into the specifics of technology today, which I did yesterday. And it kind of flew over some people's heads. So I'm going to try to keep it a little more focused today. So we'll start out with what you need, and one of the big things that you're going to need for a stream is you either need a computer, or in Mixer's case, if you decide to stream to Mixer, it's built into your Xbox One. You can stream right from there and just start playing a game, and if you've got a headset mic, you can use that to talk to people, or if you have a Kinect, you can use that as a face cam. You'll need some kind of a software for streaming. So OBS is a free software on the PC. It's also on Mac and Linux. And it'll actually stream to every service. It'll stream to Facebook, YouTube Gaming, Twitch, all that stuff. And now the newest branch just came out last week. The actual main channel release of it has Mixer support as well. And then there's You're going to need a microphone of some kind, a headset mic, something along those lines. I'll kind of give you some pointers on things to avoid in terms of microphones in a couple of minutes. And then you'll need, if you want to do a face cam, you'll need some kind of a camera. And there's some options there that you can do, and we can talk about those afterwards if you have questions specifically about those. Overall cost for getting started on a stream is as little as nothing if you already have a headset. Because OBS is free, and if you've got a computer and a headset, or if you have an Xbox, like, it's $0 to start. You can get started, give it a try. If you've got a phone, you can do live streaming from your phone now using Mixer Create, or the Twitch app also does it. And I don't think there's a YouTube specific one, but there are apps out there that you can buy, and I think there's a couple free ones that you can use that will stream to any service using RTMP, which, again, we can get into what that is at some point. After, let me check my notes. Where did I put my phone? Give me your
It's
phone.
gone.
It's in my pocket. Once you have all that stuff, one of the big things that you'll need is like a quiet place, because if you start a stream and you have all this ambient noise, you have dogs barking in the background, you have jets flying overhead, whatever, people will hear that. So you want to try to keep it as distraction free as possible, because the focus is on your stream and your content, right? So mainly your goal is to find a nice quiet area. And I mean, if you're doing a type of cast that is noisy, like if you're doing a creative stream and you're doing woodworking or something, that's to be expected. But like for gaming streams, which is my main area of expertise, you'll want to have a nice quiet area where people can focus on you and the game, or just the game if that's your goal. You're gonna need, I'm losing myself here. You're gonna need also to kind of make sure that you have a focus. There's different kinds of streams you can do, and you can do like a focus stream, like a single game stream, which if you ever go on Twitch, you might see that there are people that play like League of Legends or PUBG, and that's like legitimately like all they play, and that they have hundreds of viewers, but they day in, day out, that's what they play. People go there expecting to see that kind of gameplay. Those kind of streams are great for growth, because people go there for the game, people go there for the gameplay, because usually if you play something day in and day out, you get really good at it. But the problem is that if you burn out on the game, or the game tanks and disappears, then you may very well find yourself in a situation where you have no audience, and it's hard to move on to a different game because they come there to see that game. Then there's variety streams, and variety streaming is what I do, and I pretty much play a different game almost every night. And variety streamers, it's harder, it's a much slower build-up, but usually the people are there for you as a personality, rather than the games that you're playing or the gameplay. Because I'll be the first to tell you, I suck at games. My community will tell you that too. I'm absolutely terrible at gaming. However, I love playing games, and I have a real passion for games. And that shows through, and so they come back because we have fun talking about the games, making fun of the games, whatever we have to do, because a lot of games I play have a lot of really weird bugs. So variety streaming is usually about the personality and less about the game being played, because I've actually had situations where I've been playing a game. One night I played like Pokemon Ruby, and then the next night played like Forza Horizon 3, and then the people came back from the Pokemon Ruby stream and said, hey, I've never played this looks cool, and they actually will stay and engage just because you're there, and it's by virtue of you playing the game. And they'll say, oh, I never thought about playing this, but it looks really cool, it looks like a lot of fun. So variety streaming is a different way to kind of expose people to games that they might not normally do. And it's a lot of fun to do a variety stream, because you never get bored, it's always something new. And then finally there's like web shows. So if you're an artist, a lot of people do art streams. A lot of people do game development streams. They'll do podcasts. They'll do tabletop gaming, that sort of things. And there's a lot of that goes on in web shows. You can do pretty much anything. Cooking shows is another one that's really popular right now too. People really connect with those because it's maybe out of their wheelhouse, or maybe they're looking to pick up tips for their own stuff. And those are really cool because you can kind of, either if you're learning how to draw and you have a tablet and like you're drawing and showing off what you're doing or something like that, it's a really good way to pick up tips yourself as well, and to kind of grow and get other people's points of view or live critiques, things like that. But going back a little bit to the equipment, I wanted to touch base on like microphones and stuff. I'm keeping it very high level here, but you want to avoid like really cheap headsets because they tend to sound really, really awful. and that's usually the really low-end Turtle Beaches are like $30, and the microphones on those are total junk. You can probably get away with doing like a nicer headphone. I use SteelSeries Arctis 7s. They're really nice and comfortable, and those are definitely much better in terms of quality. You don't want to buy the little tiny microphones that are like $2 at Walmart because they sound really, really terrible. But you can go as high as thousands of dollars for mics, but you don't want to go that high. So generally speaking, you can keep it in the like $100 range for a pretty respectable USB microphone. And then in terms of like webcams, there's a lot of options out there, but there's a very specific couple of models that are really good, and they're in the $70 range. So if you're looking to do this more seriously, you have to drop a little bit of coin, but it generally makes a better presentation overall. And we'll get to like presentation and stuff like that shortly. All right, so once you've kind of picked what type of stream you want to do, you want to figure out your look and feel. And that is usually represented by your panels if you're on Twitch, or your description if you're on Mixer. And there's like all sorts of graphics down there and all sorts of text where you describe who you are, what you do. It has your schedule, your donate link, all that stuff. And generally speaking, that's like your branding, because people will look at that first to kind of figure out who you are, especially if they find your link online or through a business card like I've given you guys. You guys could go out to my stream and not see that I'm live, but you could access my VODs and look at my description and see, is this the kind of stream that I want to see? And one of my big things is making sure that my branding is consistent and it looks similar. Like you don't, if you go to a stream and you see someone with neon green Comic Sans MS on a white background, it's going to blind you, and you're going to be like, all right, I'll take a step back from this. Maybe this isn't what I want, where I want to be, because it really does make a difference. People will view you as a professional versus a hobbyist and that sort of thing, whether you are a hobbyist or not. And it does make a difference because psychology, right? So that's the camera. So you have your panels and then you have your layout. And your layout is what shows on screen. Some people like to have these really cool like graphics where it's like a total overlay. It has the webcam in the right. It's got a nice background behind it. They have maybe the chat going on the screen, or they have some kind of like visual representation of how many kills they have, something like that. And then they have the gameplay on the left side or something like that. You may have seen something similar if you watch a lot of Twitch. That's your overlay. Some people like minimalist, some people like to go big, but just make sure it's consistent and matches, because that makes a big difference in how people perceive your stream, and it gives a nice visual nod to the rest of what your stream is about. And then pretty much just make sure they're not distracting is the big thing. And then for getting those things done, you can either design them yourself if you have some Photoshop skill. If you don't, there are a lot of really good resources out there that do it on the cheap. There are a lot of like Twitch, they just say like Twitch panels or Twitch graphics or whatever, but they're not Twitch specific. You can use them on anything that you live stream with. You can usually get them for like the $25 to $50 range. But another a little like streaming hack I found is Fiverr. If you've ever heard of Fiverr, it's fiverr.com. And you can get tons of graphics and stuff made for like $5 each. Everything's like a $5 bill. And so like I got my original logo was just a coin with the text in like a really pixelated font. I got that for $5, and I still use the coin today, and it didn't cost me a dime. I've redone all the logos, but that coin stays. For $5 I got pretty good branding that it's pretty recognizable and iconic, and it's $5. You know, just don't buy gum for a week and you're good. All right, so let's get into some of the suggestions. So one of the big things that people need is a schedule. When you start streaming, make a schedule. That's the biggest thing, is because if people don't know when to come back, they will never be able to figure out when you're going to be live. Like there's notifications and stuff, but if you stream, Monday at 3 p.m. and then you stream at 10 p.m. on Tuesday, they might be asleep, they might have work, that sort of thing. They want to know if your schedule meshes with what they watch so that they can come catch you whenever you're live. I have some really great people who show up every time that I'm live, and having a schedule helps that. They say, hey, what time are you live? It's like, go check out my schedule, it's right below in my description. And they can always come back right when I go live, and they know. So having a schedule helps people a lot. Some people won't go to streams that they don't know when it's going to be scheduled. If you say, I stream whenever, it's like, well, you don't really care that much about doing this seriously, so I'm not going to come back. So having a schedule helps a lot. Another thing is networking, and that's a big one. That's really hard to do. That's the hardest one to master. Networking is extremely hard to do on Twitch, especially because the culture on Twitch right now, and this changes and shifts as time goes on, but the culture on Twitch right now, and I'm not knocking Twitch, so don't take it that way, because I'm not biased. I like all the platforms because competition is good. But the culture on Twitch is you don't mention that you stream ever. You are not a streamer. You know, if you come into a channel, you're trying to steal their viewers. And that's kind of it's hard to network and get to know other streamers that way, because they often will never engage you in a conversation about streaming, and it makes it hard for that whole mentality where, you know, you guys connect, you collaborate, you can do stuff together and possibly grow as a group or a team. On Mixer, it's very much, you go in, you don't say, hey, I'm a streamer, but you get to know people, you become involved in a community, and I would say most of the bigger streamers on Mixer, and I mean, this again is liable to change, but most of the streamers on Mixer are really good about talking to you, and if they find out you're a streamer, they'll come check you out, and if they like your content, they'll shout you out, they'll say, you know, go check out this person, they're pretty great. And there's a bit of a culture difference there. However, networking is important no matter what platform you're on. So get in there, get involved with the community, get to know the streamer. Don't start saying, hey, I'm a streamer, I'm gonna go stream. Go and give them a little bit of your time, and that tends to pay off. And you can get to know them, become friends with them, be part of their group. Another thing that I would highly recommend is that before you start streaming, before you hit the live button, and this was a suggestion from my chat, check out the terms of service on the site that you're using before you stream, because it'll let you know what your protections are against trolls and horrible people, and it'll also let you know what your limits are in terms of streaming, because some places are a little bit more strict. I know that Mixer has some rules that Twitch does not, and vice versa, in terms of their terms of service. Also look at the games list, look at what is allowed and what isn't allowed, because a big mistake that people make is they'll go play like Honeycamp Studio on Twitch, and you will get banned for that. Because that is a banned game. And that sort of thing is a very important thing to know before you go live. And also pay attention to their rules on content. If you curse a lot on Twitch, there's a mature rating that you have to check a box for. And if you're on Mixer, there are different levels. There's family friendly, there's teen, and then there's mature. So you got to make sure that you fall within what their recommendations are for that. So if you, I know on Mixer, if you smoke, if you vape, if you drink a lot, you have to be 18 plus. You cannot be family friendly or anything and have any of that sort of stuff around, because that's just the rules. Let me see what else. Don't get discouraged is another big one. It's very, very easy to start and see that big 0 viewer number or that 1 viewer number and be like, I'm never gonna get anywhere. When I started streaming, especially on Twitch, because Twitch is really, really hard to get started on, you would start out and you would look at that number and it would just be like devastating. There's a very good reason they have the option to hide the viewer count on almost everything, because honestly, don't look at it. Don't worry about numbers, especially if you're just starting. Just get into it to have fun. If you don't have an interest in streaming, it will show. Don't do it. It's not for everybody, and that's okay, but just don't force yourself to do it because you want fame and fortune, because it's just not how it works. Maybe when Twitch first started, the chance was good that that was going to happen. It's much harder to get traction if you go into it with the thought, I'm going to be a partner, I'm going to be rich, give me that Twitch money, give me that Mixer money, and that's just not how it works, unfortunately. Go into it to have fun and enjoy yourself, and possibly go into it to make friends. Just have a reason that you do the streaming, have a reason that you get involved with it outside of the monetary gains, because if you're doing it for money, it shows, and people don't respond well to that at all. Camera really likes me today. And then be positive. Whenever you go to a stream and you're watching it and somebody's playing a game, like, you all have seen people nerd rage, right? Have you seen that YouTube video of the German kid who like slams his keyboard and like throws it through the monitor and stuff like that? That is not what people necessarily want to watch. There is a niche for that, but that is not necessarily what people go to watch streams for. Being positive, being engaging, being uplifting to your viewership is such an important thing. And if you're positive, if you even if you're not feeling it that day and you force yourself to smile and be positive, it has like this weird effect in your brain. Science, it's science. For you, Chris. There's like I read a study that if you force a smile, it releases some endorphins in your brain that actually makes you feel a little bit happier. So if you just, even if you're not feeling like the most positive in the world, just giving a smile or laughing at yourself if you screw up or something like that goes a hugely long way to how you're perceived by the audience viewing. And it makes a big difference as well. Yes?
I just want to say that I am on Twitch all the time, and there have been times where I'm really interested in the game they're playing, but because they get so frustrated and angry at the game, I'm like, I can't watch this guy.
Right, because it rubs off on you.
Because
you feel their anger.
It affects me personally.
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel. If you go into a stream and people are like really, really angry at what they're doing, you're like, this person's probably not the best option for me to be around. Because, I mean, you don't want that negativity, and, I mean, it's your free time as a viewer. You don't want to waste your time watching someone who doesn't do anything meaningful or positive. You want to be involved with somebody who's, like, happy about what they're doing. And like I said, I mean, I prefaced it with, I'm terrible at games, and I will be the first to admit it, but I never stop laughing at myself, and neither does my chat. They always laugh at me. So it's one of those things that if you can find a way to laugh at yourself, that ultimately will help you a lot, and it'll make you feel a lot better about things too, because I'm really, really bad, guys. Don't be afraid. You don't want to be afraid of what you're doing, so just be confident. And I know that's hard for some people. People have social anxiety. I get that. That's a thing. I know a couple of actually really big streamers. They're bigger than me on Mixer right now, and they have pretty severe social anxiety. They get in a face-to-face. They used to get in a face-to-face conversation, and they would just shut down. They wouldn't be able to do it. But through streaming, because there's all the interaction, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of connection with people, it's helped them with their social interactions in real life as well. And so it may be a way for you to help you get past some of your social anxieties. But it's also it's just a great thing to there's a Congo line. There's a great thing to streaming that really helps you get past some of your hang-ups with talking to people, and being afraid of that, again, it shows, and it's really important to try your best to come out of your shell when you're streaming. But it's an iterative process. It's not going to be instant. You're going to get in there, people are going to talk to you, you're going to be like, oh, hi, how are you? And as you get used to it, you'll start to get more familiar with the people that come in, and it's more just a, hey, welcome to the stream. Because ultimately, one of the things you got to realize is your stream is your house. People are coming into your house, not the other way around. So you don't have to bend to the whims of this is something that I'm adding right now. Don't bend to the whims of everything people say, because 90% of the time I get people that come into my stream and they're like, dab, hey dab, hey dab. And I'm not gonna sit here and do dance moves for people all day. Like, I'm not a dancing monkey. So one of my big things is, one of my big things is I actually have, by the way, dab is a forbidden word in my chat. So if someone comes in and that's all they say, they get timed out because I don't want to deal with it. But anyways, so it's one of those things that if somebody comes in and starts making demands of you, it's your house. Somebody wouldn't come into your house and start calling you names or belittling you or treating you like crap. Don't put up with it. Don't deal with trolls. Just get rid of them. Kick them out, time them out, ban them, whatever you got to do. Do what's right for you, because it will have an effect on you if you let trolls rule your chat. And it sucks, because it's happened to me before, and it makes you feel horrible. Like, people come in and they call me fat, they call me ugly, they call me stupid every day, but I've got some of the greatest moderator team in the universe on my chat, and they're wittier than I could ever be, and they actually have some of the greatest counter insults at them ever, and that makes me feel a lot better. But we don't put up with it, we get rid of it, and we take care of it. And you've got to do that for yourself, because going into streaming and looking at it as, hey, I might want to do this for a living, people are gonna be mean. That's how they are. That's the internet. There's trolls, and I'm not saying deal with it. I'm saying take care of it. Take care of your house, because it's your place to be. It's your safe space. That's the place that you can be yourself and you can express yourself. And it's really important that if it's something you want to do seriously, you enjoy it every time that you hit that live button. Okay? Sorry, got off on a tangent there, but I thought that was very important. All right, so let's talk about, and another thing is, don't worry about talking to yourself. You're gonna feel like a crazy person for the first few months of doing streaming. That's a big one. You learn to talk to yourself pretty well though. When you're playing a game, narrate it, talk about what you're doing, walk people through it. Just pretend like, even if you have an audience of one, pretend like you have an audience of 1 million. Just talk it through, even if you don't have someone in chat to talk to. Talk it through, and just keep it engaging. Because if you've got something going on, people will often lurk, and I'll talk about lurkers in a second, and just listen. Like some people like to listen to streams, have someone talking in the background while they do homework, while they do art, while they program, that sort of thing. And some people are just lonely and don't have a lot of people to talk to, so having a voice on makes them feel like there's somebody there, and they'll listen to that. Those are lurkers, and lurkers are really, really important. But you'll learn to talk like to everybody. Just talk to yourself as if, you know how they say dance like no one's watching? Talk like no one's listening. Just talk to yourself. Just do your thing. Make people feel engaged, even if they're not engaging with you. And then we'll talk about lurkers now. Lurkers are really important. So if you're sitting there streaming and you've got 15 people watching, but no one is talking in your chat, don't panic. That's a good thing. Lurkers are your bread and butter, because lurkers are what fuel your numbers. There are people that are just listening to you, and they appreciate your content just as much as people who engage in your chat, and oftentimes even more so, because I have a YouTube channel where I upload my VODs, and I have a lot of people that are like, hey, I watch all your VODs. I don't ever get to get your stream, but I watch your VODs and they're awesome and I appreciate it. And that's completely non-interactive. So they're just as important, because they hang out in your stream. They're just as a big part of your community as people that engage and talk all the time. So appreciate your lurkers, but never call them out, because one of the big things is whenever you've got a lot of lurkers, the first time that I really had a decent viewership in a game, I think it was like 10 people watching. And it was on Twitch, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many people watching, but no one's talking to me. I looked at it, I looked at my chat list, and I'm like, hey lurkers, how's everybody going? And like my number dropped like a rock. It was like you turn on a light, and they were just like really awesome, sexy cockroaches, and they scattered. Like they're not bad cockroaches, but they're good cockroaches, right? Is there a good thing for that? They're beautiful cockroaches, and I love it. Yeah, but they disappeared because they don't like to be called out. Most lurkers just like to be there. They don't want to be forced to engage. So appreciate your lurkers, but give them their space. Now we'll talk about selling it. So one of the big things is be consistent. Don't give up. Don't try to like every week do something like hugely different with your stream. Just try to get some consistency, and people will respond to that. They appreciate it if your stream is similar every day. It's that familiarity, right? Like if every day you change like your audio quality, or you change your appearance every day, like hugely, it can confuse people. People sometimes don't really like that. So it's one of those deals that you got to be consistent with your delivery, with your presentation. Try not to mumble one day and then yell the next all the time. Like try to be consistent in the way that you deliver your streams. You also want to make sure that you can people know that you exist, right? When you start, nobody knows that you exist. Get your friends, get your family to watch your streams. If you're not comfortable with having your family watch, friends are fine. Have them engage with you in chat for the first few weeks if they can spare that kind of time, and you can engage with them, and that actually will help people feel more welcome. You'll start to build up a core base, and that's the beginnings of a community, which I'll go into in a minute. Make social media accounts. Make a player.me. Make a Twitter. Make a Facebook page. Do all that stuff, because if people don't know where to connect with you outside of stream, it's very hard to do. Also make a Discord, because Discord's great. We just broke 160 something people on our Discord channel, which is awesome, because those are people that are actively engaged. They're people that hang out and talk with everybody, and it's a great place because there's voice chat, there's text chat. You can make like a memes channel, because everybody likes their memes or whatever. So you can have a place to like share your memes and stuff like that. It's a great thing, and I highly recommend you do that as well. And then let's see. Okay, yeah, and then put it in places that are applicable. There's a lot of Reddit communities out there for streamers where you can share your stream and people can check them out. It's not necessarily a great place, because generally speaking, a subreddit or something like that is just other streamers, and you want to attract an audience of non-streamers as well. But it's a place to start. If you can find other streamers who support your content and you can support them back, then that's another way to network and actually grow your stream in that way. Because then, like I said, that whole networking thing is really hard to do, but it is manageable, at least for now, and it's something that is pretty crucial to making a successful stream. All right, so let's talk about building a community. So once you get going on your stream and you get a couple of regulars, get that core couple of people, they kind of become your stream ambassadors. Like if you're playing a game and you're really focused on the game, if you're playing PUBG and you're in an intense firefight, someone new comes in and you don't respond to them, oftentimes people who come in and are very chatty right off the bat want to be engaged with immediately. They're like, pay attention to me, notice me, senpai, look at me. And if you're not there if you're focused and then you look over after the firefight's done, you're dead, whatever, and they're in, 2, 3, 4 minutes have gone by, they're already gone. Having regulars makes them an ambassador for your stream, and they say, hey, welcome to the stream, hey, how's it going, dude, he's busy right now, we'll get you covered, or whatever. And it's a really great thing to have, and eventually that number will build up, and they'll talk with each other, they'll keep each other entertained, so you don't have to do 100% of the work where you have to answer every question that comes through, where you have to, because that's one of the big things I do. We have on the Xbox what's called the Mixer Dash, and it's a dashboard, and as a partner I get on that sometimes, and we get this torrent of people that come in and they'll ask the same questions over and over again, because you get, over time you get different people. So I'm playing Pokemon Ruby and they're like, how are you playing Pokemon on Xbox? And over and over and over again, I have to answer the question, and I'll answer 40, 50 times in a night, just trying to answer people who ask. However, as it grows, your community will answer that for them and say, hey, he's playing it using an emulator on the PC, or he's playing it this way, and that sort of thing. So it's a very helpful thing to get that community rolling, but it can take time. And it's one of those things you can't rush or force. So it's very important that you just enjoy your streaming until you get to that point. And it's one of those deals that you'll know. And it's just like with partnership. You'll know when you're ready to apply. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes too. And yeah, like I said, it's way easier said than done to build a community, and it takes a lot of time, and but it's very rewarding when it does work out. All right, now finally we'll talk a little bit about partnership. And I had mentioned this before, but I got to reiterate: if you go in with the idea of being a partner, if you go in with the idea of making all that Twitch money, affiliate status as well, don't go into it for money. Like Twitch affiliate is a way easier goal to get, and it's doable, and it's a cool program. Oop, I just lost that. But if you go into it expecting to make tons of money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and it will show. So just don't do that. Just go into it to have fun. Once you get to a certain point, and it's a hard one to gauge, but when you get the viewership, when you hit, on Mixer, the minimums have changed. I think it's 50 viewers and 750 followers, and so. From that perspective, if you hit that 45 to 50 mark on consistently, it's like, well, I think I'm ready. You probably have a good indicator that you can feel pretty positive about. Some people will jump the gun, like I did. It took me 2 times to get to partnership. The first time that I did it was definitely not ready. I did the whole, I'm on a partner push, everybody come support me. My numbers shot up because people want to help support you and make you feel really good about it. But those people weren't part of my community, so they didn't stay. They disappeared as soon as my partner push was done. And doing that is not the best way to go about it, because the partnership teams of every platform can tell. They're like, well, this guy was sitting at 15 for 2 months, and then this last 3 days he's jumped up to 50 viewers. How's that work? So they go, something's going on, and they looked at it. They told me, you're not ready yet, but try again in a couple months. And I kind of collected myself, and I kind of reoriented myself, and I said, maybe partnership isn't the goal. Maybe I need to really focus on keeping a positive community and doing that. And that's what I ended up doing, and it actually paid off, because eventually my community were saying, hey, go for partner. What are you doing? You're crazy. This is like, you have to do this. And that was when I went, okay, maybe I will. And I just did it. I didn't bother to tell anybody except for my community. I just said, hey, we're doing this, and we're going to see if it happens. And it did. And it worked out really well. And the community was very supportive about that and all that. And that's kind of where you can, it's kind of a marker to let you know when your time is there. And I think I don't have really anything else from this, but just keep at it and be consistent, I think, is my biggest advice. I think consistency is definitely the key, and that's the hardest thing to attain is a consistent presentation, because I went through like 3 months where I changed my layout and everything like every other day, and it was like, I need to stop this. So I think that's my key thing. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I know you had a really good question, and would you mind repeating it?
Okay. So you were talking about the comparison of Twitch and Mixer, and
Yeah.
I was asking, do you think that Mixer will become like basically the Facebook compared to MySpace?
Yeah.
Will it overtake Twitch? And especially because I know like Twitch has been changing a lot of their stuff recently, and some people are happy about it and other people aren't.
Yeah,
I don't think Mixer ever will, and actually the Mixer team is very adamant that they're not targeting Twitch as a competition. Interestingly, Twitch is doing the vice versa. If you notice, they went to TwitchCon, or not TwitchCon, they went to E3, and they had the big Mixer booth, and they took a video of it and they put a big kappa over it, like it was like, aha, it's a joke. And they did some really nasty, like underhanded stuff, and a lot of their things have been responses to what Mixer has done. They've completely changed their partnership program. They've rolled out affiliates to try to keep some of the smaller streamers who are jumping ship for Mixer, that sort of stuff. Which Mixer is very adamant about. We just want good content. We just want to do our thing. We want interactive. We want sub-second latency. We want to do our thing, and they're very much focused on that. And it shows in their for partners. You can stream to any platform if you're a partner on Mixer as well. So I could be technically partnered on all platforms if Twitch didn't have a non-compete clause, where if you're on Twitch and you're a partner with Twitch or an affiliate with Twitch, you cannot stream to any other platform within 24 hours of your last stream. So it's kind of an interesting thing because Twitch is very closed and they like to keep their partners corralled in, where Mixer is kind of like, yeah, do what you want. We've got your content, you've got really good content, and you represent our brand in this case. So it's a very different kind of culture. So I don't think that there is any worry about that. They may get to a point where they're big and they may cause waves, but they've got that whole Microsoft support behind it, especially with like a lot of the esports scene. If you look at Twitch, they get BlizzCon and they get like all the E3 panels and all that stuff. But that's slowly changing. Like Mixer had the Xbox press conference at E3, and that was huge. They had it was a great stress test for the platform. I think they had over 100,000 people watching one stream simultaneously, which was like a really huge milestone for them. And the whole site didn't completely explode. It partly exploded, but it was one of those things that they were really stressing about leading up into E3, and it was that was a make or break moment for them. And it was all done in everybody could watch it sub-second latency, so it would happen at E3 and everyone in the world could see it at the exact same time. So it was really cool and a great accomplishment. So I don't think that there's any real there's rivalry, but I don't think there's competition yet. And it's competition in the sense that yes, they're the same kind of they're live streaming platforms and they're going to compete, but it's a good thing that Mixer has come along because YouTube Gaming wasn't doing much to push the envelope. Yeah. But Mixer is, and Mixer is making Twitch go, well, we need to start doing something or else we're going to lose a bunch of people. And so, Twitch has had their reduced latency option for streams for 2 years now, and it's still in beta, and it's only a 5-second delay, whereas FTL, which is what powers Mixer, is less than a second, and that's their core thing. So it's kind of forcing Twitch to kind of reevaluate the way they do things, and it's really requiring a lot of thought from Twitch to do their thing. So it's a good thing. It's a positive thing, and I don't think that there's necessarily it's not going to overtake it, but it may give it a run for its money in the next few years. That's kind of where I stand.
You actually kind of mentioned it to my second question is, what's
Yeah.
your opinion on
Bite me,
YouTube
Ben.
live streaming?
YouTube Gaming, I'm not a big fan of because they, the way they do stuff is very money oriented, and so they have super chat, but they take some massive cut, 30% of every tip that you get. Yeah, can you shut that, Ray? Thank you. They take some massive cut of your tips, whereas if you go through Twitch, when you do cheers with their bits, it's 100%. It goes to the streamer because the bits are paid for. The overhead cost is paid for by the person who's buying the bits, and then the streamer gets 100% of the bits. And hopefully something similar will roll out for Mixer in the future. But there's a much bigger emphasis on Twitch and Mixer for making content creators happy. and Twitch has always done a really good job of that. But YouTube gaming seems to be more focused on just monetizing more and finding new ways to monetize, because after Apocalypse happened and all that stuff, that really put a big hamper on a lot of their gaming content, because a lot of people went elsewhere. We have on Mixer, there's a lot of fairly big YouTubers in the gaming sphere that stream there now, and there's a lot of people are forgoing using YouTube gaming to use Mixer or Twitch. So it's kind of they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, and I don't know what direction they're heading. But hey, it may do really well, and I mean it doesn't do badly, but people are kind of seeing seeing the grass is really truly greener on the other side, and they're starting to jump ship. So it's a good and bad thing.
So you went to my next question. You're just going right through them. So you mentioned that YouTube takes a good 30% of the profits, correct?
Yeah.
So I know Nintendo, when you make YouTube videos for Nintendo, they take 60% usually.
Yeah.
So do they normally attack live streams?
They haven't yet, and live streams so far have been immune, because usually you're not making money off ad revenue on those, especially if I think that if you're playing, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think I read somewhere that if you're playing a Nintendo game on Twitch, it doesn't run ads. I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate, but that's what I heard from somebody. And right now Mixer doesn't have ads yet. So how that's going to work, but their rules were specifically about ad revenue. They can't dip into tips, because tips are a person-to-person transaction, and subscriptions are through the live streaming platform, and it's for content. It's not necessarily for what content they're making. So far Nintendo hasn't really gone after live streamers yet, but that can change, because Nintendo kind of sucks with the way that they run their business in terms of content creation.
My second question.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So because of the fact that they're adding third parties software to the Switch,
Yeah.
Do you think maybe that they're going to relax a lot of their different stuff, like maybe cut that whole profit gouge?
Hopefully that'll be the case. I mean, you've got the Better Together update for Minecraft coming, which is a really good sign, because you'll be able to play with your friends on the Xbox One on your Switch and people on PC on your Switch. So maybe that'll give Nintendo that come to Jesus moment where they're like, hey, this is actually a good thing. Maybe we can actually monetize this service rather than taking money out of content creators' pockets. And if you notice, people who make YouTube videos about Nintendo games are much fewer than they used to be. It used to be everyone would make Nintendo game content, and now that they changed it, people are just like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to give them most of my money. I mean, this is my livelihood. Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those deals that I'm hoping that they'll learn their lesson, but it's Nintendo, and they don't care. They don't care about the consumer, and I know I'm going off on a Nintendo right here, but they don't care about the consumer as much as they care about quality of product. And I understand that, because their games are really good and they're really fun. But when it comes to consumer support, if you look at the Switch, the thing's flimsy and breaks a lot. The dock scratches the screen sometimes. Stuff like that is come on now. These are really basic things that QA would have done, and then people would report it and they're like, that's expected, you're fine. And it's they don't give any support over that sort of thing. Dead pixels on screens, they're like, nah, within 5 is fine. Whereas if you go to any other place that sells something with an LCD and you say, there's dead pixels, they're like, we shouldn't have dead pixels, let's replace it. So it's just one of those things that Nintendo is very, they're not a big fan of their consumers, unfortunately. Yeah, of us, yeah. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes.
I do. I was wondering if you think it's beneficial to stream games as they come out. A lot of people, they'll when a game comes out, Ukulele or
Yep.
Bendy and the Ink Machine, do you think it's beneficial to just, if you're a variety streamer, to get on those? That way because people are searching for them because they just
Right.
came out. Or the new Zelda.
It's a really interesting question, because most people will go to big streamers to see the newest releases because they expect them to. However, I've had very good success, even though I'm not a big streamer. I've had pretty good success with playing new releases, but usually after a week. So if you give it a week, the big streamers, the huge streamers, have moved off of that game because they want to diversify their content more, and you can usually monopolize off of that. The people that waited a week to see the reviews and stuff will come looking for streams still. So you can definitely benefit from it, but you're not gonna get that, like 6,000 viewer mark. And every once in a while, lightning will, right.
Ratio.
And every once in a while, lightning will strike, and you'll start playing a game right before one of the big streamers or right after a big streamer ends, and they'll either raid you or you'll get a bunch of people looking for the same game, and they'll just come trickle down. And it's kind of annoying in that regard because you really can't time it, and it's really hard to play that game. And it's just one of those things that if you're gonna play a new release that just came out, just do it to have fun. Like, don't do it necessarily for viewership, because again, if you're not enjoying the game, people really respond to that. So like if you're like, well, PUBG just came out, I wanna play that, and you go play PUBG and you hate the game, people are gonna come into your stream and just bail out as soon as they see that you're not having fun. So that's it's important to like what you're doing first, and then worry about the people second. And I think that's the secret of the big content creators, is because they'll often play games that just came out because it gets the numbers, but they also enjoy the games, and sometimes they get sponsorships, and a little money in your pocket from the company is always going to make you enjoy the game a little more. So that stuff kind of balances out as well, because they'll very frequently get sponsorships from the company to play it. So just enjoy the games that you play is my big thing. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything? Okay, well, that's all I've got. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. And if you have any questions or anything, you can. You all should have business cards. If you didn't get one, let me know. You didn't get one? Okay. But if you want to hit me up on my email address or come to my stream and ask me questions there, feel free. I'm always open to talk. So thanks.
Thanks, TM.
How's it going?
I have a gift for you.
You do. I don't want your D12s. I don't want your D12s. I need D20s. They need to be 20s.
Wizard.
It's awesome. It's good to meet you. Yeah, how's it going?
Doing good.
Yeah. Well, thanks for
got
making
up
the
early,
panel.
so
Appreciate
yeah. I got up early to come up here. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Well, say hi to my chat.
Hi, everybody.
It's AG Wizard, guys.
BCG.
Becky
We're across the hall, so.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean,
I got the D12.
Kind of appropriate, because every time I stop by, I hit that button and just rage at it.
It works. Well, I'll catch you around, okay? See you later, man.
So I need to upgrade my graphics card on my computer.
Yeah.
What would you suggest?
I'm in control now.
Okay.
It's still got like
Okay,
ice.
I'll go back.
Okay. Is it like
Thank
what, like a
you.
4700, something like that, 4th gen? Well, okay, so your choice is either get a 1070 or 1080. I highly recommend the 1080.
Do you want me to end
It's
this?
pretty, yeah. Let's end the stream, guys. I will catch you later. I'm gonna try to do some stuff later, so be around tonight, and I'll catch you later. Okay, guys? Bye. Thanks for hanging out.